Hey, this is Steve, Nashville, Tennessee, and you're listening to Count It Off.
Welcome to Count It Off with your host, Jeff Dayton, where we explore the world of music through the eyes of some fascinating guests. So get tuned up and let's count it off.
Thank you, Marsha, and welcome to another episode of Count It Off, your podcast that gives you fresh eyes into the world of music. Today we've got an amazing guest. His name is Andy Peake, and great player, great friend, known him a long time. He's worked with an amazing list of players and musicians and careers. He's also a solo artist. We're going to talk about his music a little bit. He engineers his own work, which is a big savings, and he's got a brand new record called Pocket Change. We'll hear some of that during the interview. He has played with a long list of people, and I hope we get a chance to introduce you to that. But what I'd like to do right now is give you some Andy Peake. Check it out. About that, y'all. If you can't get enough of that like I can't, go to andypeake.com and you'll get to hear it. That's an excerpt from him playing with his band Big Shoes, which was a Little Feat tribute band. Andy, welcome to the show, man.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
Good to be back in your home.
It's good to be home, period.
Yeah,
know, road dogs like us.
Yeah.
Have you got any quick words of wisdom for us if you're thinking about getting into the music business? You have a daughter, Maggie Peake, who has done quite well. And what has watching her reminded you of in your career, let's say?
I think flexibility is what it's reminded me of because, first of all, I should mention that she is Maggie Peake. She goes by the professional name Emlyn, E-M-L-Y-N.
Okay.
And if you go online to look for her, that you'll find her under that. She actually released a couple of things as Maggie Peake back when she was in college. She got on Coffee House Channel and on Sirius XM with a couple of tunes. And when she made the move to Los Angeles, she became strictly Emlyn at that point. So in answer to your question, I went to see her after she had kind of hit her stride as Emlyn at a concert in New York at one of the clubs in southern Manhattan. And my partner and I went in, stood in the audience, watched her go up on stage and start singing these songs that she had never released on a record or a CD or anything like that. And all 350 of the girls in the room started singing the songs with her, all the lyrics.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which pointed to the fact that it was all streaming, all online stuff. And it was like Karen and I looked at each other and went, whoa, we're on the outside of this.
We're going at it old school, aren't we?
We better get in. We better at least acknowledge it.
That's great. Well, let's talk about you. And I often ask, where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into music? But go ahead with that one.
Grew up in the Midwest, as we, culture-filled Midwesterners, we're proud of that.
Crossroads of every style in the world, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But moved around a lot. My dad was a pastor. I wound up in a little town called Maryville, Missouri, which is halfway between Kansas City and Council Bluffs, Iowa. Went to high school and straight into college. There was a state university there where I majored in music and did that for a couple of years. And a couple of songwriter, musician friends of mine that they just said we all kind of said together, you know what? This is not, we don't want to be music teachers at this point in our lives. So let's go someplace and become rock stars. So the three of us and our dogs and partners moved to Gainesville, Florida. And we were there for about a year and a half. That all went the way when one of our managers got thrown into federal penitentiary for drug importing.
That's a classy move, yeah.
Yeah. It was hard to argue that one. But anyway, we all survived and headed different directions. I wound up in Colorado. after shortstop in Columbia, Missouri, with my friends from high school, the Bel Airs.
Quick question. When you were in Gainesville, did you run into any of the people that we think of when we think of Gainesville, like Tom Petty or anybody?
Well, Mudcrutch was in its prime.
And that was his band, right?
That was his band, yeah. And there were a few people. Actually, a guy that I worked with was friends with Bernie Ledden, so we went and talked to him once, and he knew him from that. And he was, flourishing in the Eagles at that point.
Sure, big time, yeah.
We chatted a little bit about that. And there were some other people. There were spinoffs from the Allman Brothers Band with King in Gainesville at that point. Mm-hmm. Mudcrutch was just another local band at that point. Sure. And Tom Petty. There were people that, as it turns out, there are a couple of people that live in Nashville now that were in Gainesville at that time that I found out about, and used to. A couple of them, one of them in particular, used to sneak into the club where we played. He was underage, and he'd go and hear the house band.
This is the way.
Yeah, right. So that was that. And,
now Colorado, then.
Yeah, I got an offer to go to work for a working band that was a spin-off of the '50s revival, the Happy Days and Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids, especially.
God, I haven't heard of that name in forever.
Yeah, Sean and so forth. And it was a good band, you know. It was quirky. It was kind of like Flash Cadillac meets Don Rickles, because we had one guy. We had one guy in the band who was an insult king, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And people loved to come and harass him, and he would just shoot him right in the forehead with his insults and so forth. But it was, it was a comedy music thing, and a couple of the people were dedicated to the 50s music thing. I learned a lot about it. I was actually slightly past that 50s generation, and so I had to go back and relearn some things. But did that for a few years. Everybody went their own way after a couple of years, and then I got into an original band, moved to Boulder. We got underwritten by a guy who had some funds, so we did that for a couple of years, recorded stuff, and I ended up staying there until 1987.
Well, let's get into some of your original music. This is Andy Peake, our guest today, and let's get into a little bit of Good As It Gets.
Put all your money down. I'm taking every last bet. This is the best game in town. It hasn't failed me yet. And she'll be mine forever, 'cause she's as good as it gets. You know I gamble around, and I played every card to find a love supreme. I didn't get very far, but when she told me her name, I said, I know who you are. Oh, well, I got a hot tip. I like my chances to feel so right. Now there ain't no lies or freaky dances. It's just good loving every night.
All right. Feeling good, Lewis. Looking good, Billy Ray. Way to go, Andy. That's really cool. Who's on harmonica?
A fellow named Tim Gartland, who actually I just finished about a half a year ago producing his current album release.
All right.
Which is doing real well.
And now with your engineering skills, you're doubly in demand.
It's my first solo album was right at COVID time when I put a band together, and then realized there was no place to go with the band at that point.
Yeah, that hurts.
But we went ahead and put the album out, and I started gathering clients as a result of the sonic value of what I did, and some of the song ideas and so forth.
And you're a double threat because you can lay down all the skins on it.
Yep.
And you got that backbeat, man. The first time I heard you play was, I think, with Sweethearts of the Rodeo. Mm-hmm. It might have been.
Yeah.
It was about when?
That would have been 1990.
And you were up in somewhere in the middle of Washington, Walla Walla or someplace like that. And Kenny Vaughn was in the band then, I think.
Yep.
And then again in Phoenix. and we connected out there. And of course, we had met here in Nashville. That's how I know you from, the 80s or so. Well, man, that's really great. And, this gives you, it's sort of like your road fans out into multiple lanes of possibilities.
It does at this point, yes. I mean, I still play things that I want to do. Some things I just punch the time card, and I still try and give it everything I can. And there are certain, I think there are people that will attest to that, but I have my own project, of course. I'm going out and playing with that some, and I'm involved in this band, the Herculeons, which is John Cowan, the bass player from the Doobie Brothers, and
famous for Newgrass Revival, calling Baton Rouge.
That's correct. Yeah. And John's a great session singer and so forth, and worked with Sam Bush and Bela Fleck and all those people all those years. And he took on a side project with Andrea Zahn, who is James Taylor's background singer and fiddle player. Yeah. They recorded an album produced by Wendy Waldman, and they had Greg Morrow play drums on the album. Wendy, would work with Greg for years off and on, and so by the time I came to it, the album was already pretty much in the can. Mm-hmm. And but they asked me to go and do the live gigs with it, which are really fun and really great. Man. It's such a great group of musicians.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they're firing on all cylinders. You got the Doobie Brothers bass player, and they're not letting him get away with anything. And Andrea, of course, James Taylor, is very revealing what happens vocally, and they're both just really a pleasure to work with.
And I remember her mostly for when I first discovered her she was with Vince Gill.
Right.
And, everybody loves her. I mean, she's just great. And I've worked with her brother, Brian, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with him as well.
Yeah, bass player.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, let's go back to Boulder for a sec, because you've got some history out there. And we just released, previous to this interview, an interview with Chris Daniels from Colorado, and I don't know, you guys crossed paths. Tell us about that.
We crossed paths for many years, actually. He was in a band out there that was kind of semi-famous regionally called Magic Music, and then he went through some changes and so forth, and he started a band called Spoons. I joined during the early Spoons phase, and that band changed membership and ended up as a four-piece with Chris, Sam Broussard from Lafayette, who lived in Boulder at the time, Greg, and then me on drums, and we released a couple of projects, and then that went its way, and Chris has released a number of solo albums since that time.
Yeah, in fact, we talked about that. He just released Blues with Horns 2. It's his 20th album, marking his 40 years with Chris Daniels and the Kings.
Yeah, I went to his 40th anniversary concert at the Boulder Theater and sat in with them for that.
Oh, man, how cool. I missed out on that. I don't get out to Colorado that much, and I want to. But, yeah, he's a terrific interview and a great guy. And he talked to me about Sam Broussard, and there's a possibility that Sam might do this podcast.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Sam's, brilliant, and he'll keep you on your toes, too.
I love it. I love a challenge.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I'm loving this. What happened for you you got a guy with some money in Boulder? Then tell us about that.
He had some family money, but he handled it well, and he was, able to invest it selectively and keep us afloat when the gigs weren't there, and we did a number of different recordings with him. Bob Wolf was his name. He is his name. He's a pastor, lives out in Los Angeles now, and so we recorded all the Denver area, Applewood, and we got to go up to Caribou Ranch and recorded up there a little bit. And
for those who don't know, that's famous for John Denver in Chicago.
And the list goes on. Elton John, Supertramp, Dan Fogelberg, Joe Walsh. It's just unbelievable list of people. And a great place, I'll tell you. I think it's been leveled, but it was like a dude ranch up there. What big money dude ranch, all hardwood floors and giant stuffed bears and stuff like that. It's a cool place.
All right. Speaking of cool, here's a song from Andy's current record. This is the brand new record, and I want you to hear this. This is called Hip Replacement.
mess, and your shirts are all torn. Now thinking about your future is a thing of the past. You better shoot for first if you want us to last. Your hip factor surely up for review. Now there's something that you need to do. I think it's time for a hip replacement. You got to pull yourself up out of the basement. The clock is ticking 'cause you used to be cool, but you ain't anymore. And your ceiling is another man's floor. You out of touch and time is a wasting. It sure is time for a hip replacement.
Nice groove, nice stuff. Great band. Love the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chris Daniels big on horns too. And tell me what I think I goofed on that album. Which album is that from?
That's from the Mood Swings album, the first album.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you have 2 so far.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you know, Willie Nelson didn't hit it big until he had 18 albums. That was Red-Headed Stranger. So
I better get to work.
that's all right. I'm working on number 18 myself, so I figure there's some hope
there you
around
go.
the
All
corner.
right. Okay.
You
Good.
never know. Never know. Well, that's cool. Thank you. And, you know, there's so much great music coming out of Colorado. I imagine you crossed paths and worked with a whole bunch of other folks. Let's talk about them.
I did.
And I know you worked with Chris,
I did work with Chris for years.
that band you were talking about.
The Spoons.
Yeah, the Spoons.
And then the Chris Daniels and the Kings. And I played the first gig or more with Chris Daniels and the Kings, who are still tearing it up in Colorado.
Yeah, they sound great.
Playing all the time. And then that was about the time that I'd gone through some personal changes. And soon after that, I got an offer to come to Nashville. And so I handed over the reins, and there were some very capable people that took them from me and you know, carried it on, made it work.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is there's so many great players everywhere you go, you know, and we're just lucky to have anybody notice us, much less call us, you know.
Yeah, and it's all about our passion. You know, our passion carries us through it, whether people are listening, and you know, we like it when people listen. And once we found out that we could actually put money in the bank for playing, then we thought, all this fun and money too.
The first time we got paid, I was in a 3-piece band, and it was 2 guitars and a drummer. We didn't realize we needed a bass player.
Yeah.
And we got paid $12 for a basement party. We had to lug our stuff down somebody's steps to their basement. And we played a party for all our friends. We were about 14 or 15, and I'm sure we were equally terrible. And but boy, that money, $4 a piece.
Telling you.
Oh, and I don't think there was such a thing as an allowance at my house. So, you know, $4 is $4. Think about it. Twinkies were only a dime back then.
I was already consuming other things besides Twinkies by then.
We don't have to go there if you don't want to, but I know we've all been there.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, good. And then, so Nashville, what door opened up here?
Well, on that track right there, coincidentally, that is Sam Broussard on guitar on that.
I was going to say, man, what great tone.
Yeah,
Good touch.
he's really unique. Yeah, you know, he played da 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 on the single "Wildfire" by
No
Michael Murphy.
kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he lived here in Nashville for a while. Worked with Radney Foster, worked with Fred Knobloch, and you know, toured with a couple of different things. But we've remained friends over the years. Oh, I know. How did I get here? Now, the reason that you asked that, Sam had moved to Nashville before me. He's lived in Boulder and moved to Nashville, and he got hired by Nicolette Larson, who was a pop artist from the 70s and did a little run at country music with Steve Wariner, had a hit single with Steve Wariner, switched her management to Nashville. So he took that, and then another guy, a bass player who I'd worked with Chris and the Kings, actually had also moved to Nashville, Brian Grassmeyer. And so Sam and Brian were already in Nicolette's band at that point. They contacted me and said, we've talked to Boston to making a change and offering it to you. So I said, well, okay. I'd gone through some personal changes, just broke up with a girlfriend, and I thought, well, yeah, I'll go do this gig. And I got down to Nashville. I hadn't planned on moving to Nashville, but got here and went, I see a lot more tour buses here than I did in Boulder, and a lot more rehearsal halls and management companies. Yeah, and so they offered me a job. I came and took it, worked it for better part of a year. It was really fun. I loved Nicolette's material.
Oh, me too. I don't know if you know, I think we've probably talked about this, but I played with her for 2 months on tour.
Did you?
Yeah, she came out on the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour in the beginning of '91, and we went from the tip of Maine to the bottom of California. I mean, we just covered it all, and it was just a blast. And John Hartford was on that tour.
Yeah.
And my band was one of the acts featured on the tour, and Nicolette and Stafford was on that too. You know, Jim Stafford, talk about a comedian.
Interesting.
But Nicolette had said, you know, she just had a guitar, and she said, well, would you play with me? Would you guys back me up? And
Yeah.
so she was so cool, and what a sweetheart. And she had just had her baby, Elsie Mae,
Right.
with Russ Kunkel, who was her husband.
Yep.
And, you know, and the nanny, I forget her name. She was also an artist and a writer. But we had a great time, and Nicolette was so kind to me, and I just adored the music. And, you know, Rumba Girl I thought was a girl song. I didn't realize that was a Jesse Winchester song, you know, Rumba Man. And she was also famous, as we know, for having A Lot of Love that Neil Young wrote.
Yep.
Yeah, and he kind of guided her career for a little bit.
Yeah, she did a bunch of that funky stuff. She did a version of "Baby Don't You Do It," but that the band had recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And when she got to Nashville, she locked in with a bunch of different writers and new writers from Los Angeles during those days. Obviously Neil Young, but she worked with Hoyt Axton, was in Hoyt Axton's band for a while, and she was a great artist and clever and a great singer and just striking visually.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure, you know. I treasure those days working with her.
Yeah, she bought me a nice end of the tour gift when we were out there, and you know, then we lost her too soon. It was back in the '90s that she passed. So Nicolette and all these other people that they're gigging with, and how did it feel? I mean, did it feel like the world was just opening up to you?
It was a mixed bag. You know, she was kind of at the end of her height of her career, so there were gigs that were promised that didn't come through at that point. And she was trying to support a band with Brian and Sam and I and a keyboard player, and it just wasn't happening. So I had to step out and look for another gig. I'd committed to Nashville by that point, and I heard about an audition for Tanya Tucker, who had just gone through a bunch of changes. They just fired her whole band. She had just gone through rehab, and I was clean and sober at that point, and so I was a high-level candidate to work with her, and so I got that gig, did that for about a year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody in town has either played with her or had the offer to play with her, and I've played with her too. She was really cool, and you know, folks that don't know, I was with Glenn Campbell for many, many years. And we got razzed a lot about Tanya because, like, you know, this and that. And
Sure.
And here's what I found out, that a lot of that razzing is just gossip. It's just, you know, behind your back BS. And she was so cool and sweet to us. Merv Griffin hired my band to come out to Scottsdale and play the grand opening of the Scottsdale Hilton. He just bought the property. And Tanya was the featured guest, and he had Jack Shelton from his TV show and everything. And he walked up in the middle of the set we were doing. He goes, "Hey, Tanya, this is Glenn Campbell's band. What do you think of that?" Expecting something. And she goes, "I think they sound great. I don't care. Hit it, boys."
Yeah.
You know, and that's how she was around us.
Yeah.
Really.
She's a great artist, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that documentary she did with Brandi Carlile recently, but
I bet it was good.
it was very good. And Brandi was so respectful of her, you know. I mean, Tanya can be flaky, you know. She's brilliant. Of all the times that I worked with her, and there were a couple of nights that the night before, you know, would have put anybody in the hospital. She got up and did it, and she brought it. You know, she was always very, very good at what she did.
I'm glad we're talking about her a little bit, because when Glenn Campbell died in 2018, I think it was, or 17, she put out a single right after that about Glenn and their love. And I realized in that song, and you could hear her choking up at the very end, she goes, "I love you, Glenn."
Yeah.
I think that was her first love and always her first love. And I don't think that anybody else came close to touching her heart like Glenn did. So I understand. You know? Yeah.
Another notch in the gun of lucky me that I got to work with people like that, and they're on the sheet that I call my resume at this point.
My son Kessler got to meet her one time, and she was just nothing but great words about Glenn, and she actually commented about how much she liked me too. So that was cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Well, then you're just gig to gig to gig in Nashville here, and Sweethearts of the Rodeo was in there too, wasn't it?
That was 1990.
Okay.
Actually, Don Williams was all of 89.
Oh, what a great gig.
Yeah, and it was. Don was still having number one songs. A lot of times when you go work for a band, you'll get hired because the original band was there for the hits, and they're not having hits anymore, so they go someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Don was still having hits. He still had number one. Actually, Tanya was still having hits, too. When I worked with her, she released Strong Enough to Bend, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest songs to ever hit country radio.
I agree. I was just going to say top 5 for me as far as anything like from that era.
Yeah, and then Don, of course, he was doing all the stuff. I Believe in You and Amanda and so forth.
Yeah, those are great songs. Well, let's get back to some more great songs. We are talking with Andy Peake from Nashville, Tennessee. This is One Fine Day.
Hard times come, likely to last. But don't hang your head down too low. You know, if this too will pass, everything is gonna be easy. Sunny, bright, cheerful and breezy. One fine day. One fine day, mighty change is gonna come this way. Oh, what might, oh, what may come to be one fine day.
I'm just going to say that brings to mind Rock Hooter so deep, and some of the great stuff that Jackson Browne did, and it sounds like a tenor guitar, and I own one. Is that what that is? That acoustic thing? God, it's really beautiful.
That song was written by a guy named Jordan Chasson, and he had lived in Nashville, moved up to the Woodstock area, and my partner and I, Karen, went to visit him, stayed with him and his wife for a few days, and he turned me on to an album that he had done back in the early 90s, which was just like a trio thing. It was on for a major label, but never really got any feet. And I heard that song, and we went back to Nashville, and I called him from Nashville. I said, can I record that song? And he said, yeah, you can do that. And so the original version of that, he cut on Archtop. And when we discussed it, I said, you know, nobody's going to be able to play acoustic guitar on this like you did, and I would like for you to do it. So I laid down a drum track, basic laid-back drum track, sent it to him, and he said, I don't have the Archtop anymore. Let me give you a small body acoustic that I can get close to that with. Yeah. So I couldn't tell you exactly what it was.
Yeah, it's a beauty, though.
But that's he did a great job on that, and of course I'm so proud of the musicians on that. That's Tom Britt on slide guitar.
Oh yeah.
And when I heard the song, Ry Cooder came to mind immediately. I said, let's do this in that style. So Tom Britt played slide. Paul Lasola, the bass player that was Saturday Night Live and worked with Levon Helm, played upright. That's Jeff Taylor on accordion, who, of course, is with the Time Jumpers and toured with Elvis Costello and so forth. Andre Azan, who I mentioned earlier, was with the Herculeans, did the background vocals on that.
That was terrific vocal on that. Yeah. And well done, Andy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it on the first take.
I don't think anybody does except maybe Glenn Campbell used to.
But let me tell you something real quick about
please.
Andrea Zahn.
Uh-huh.
She's breathtaking how good she is in the studio. You think that she's got it, and then you realize she's got it and another 300% on top of that. She hears all these little subtleties to things and makes just the right suggestions, makes the moves and everything. And the great musicians I got to work with on these last couple of albums, they all amazed me at what they were able to bring to the table. So much fun.
Wow. Quick question on production. Did you have your final vocal done when she laid that on, or did she suggest changes in your vocal? Because that's something that a lot of people might not think about when you've got a great singer in there, and then you are you, which I don't consider myself a great singer. I'm a pretty good one, but that might affect what I'm doing.
You are a great singer, Jeff.
Oh, thank you.
After having, especially, I was reminded yesterday when I heard you singing at our event that we both attended.
Yeah.
And but for that particular thing, I had 99% of what I wanted for the final event.
And then she just came and danced on top.
Danced on top. I made a couple little suggestions and so forth, and then she corrected me. I'm half kidding.
Well, the next time you're doing sound at an event like that, I'd like to hear that in the pre-roll.
Okay.
That is a sweet song, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's really good. Andy Peake is our guest talking about his music career. Folks, if you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can always reach me. I'm radiojeffro@gmail.com. Radio Jeffro. Well, that's one thing. We're saying great guy, great lady, amazing songwriter, great producers, great engineers, musicians, because we live in Nashville. And I've just been through another cycle of the high and low and the high and low. And when we talked yesterday, man, I was dragging the whole load by myself, and there was the straps were cutting into my shoulders. And today I feel totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm reminded that here we are in I'm just going to say it not true for everyone, but this is the music town in the world, I think.
By far more musicians per capita. And not only that, there is a creative aura that is created by all of the musicians here, where there's a language that's spoken that you can't go to very many places in the world and speak the language and have so many people that you're surrounded. You take a random group of 100 people and you talk in musician language, and 85 of them know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's definitely credibility. I'm just putting together another UK tour. We took the music of Glenn Campbell there a couple of years ago, and next time we're going to do just a folk music thing and songs that people know and can sing along with. And putting that Nashville badge on that show gives it another 80% in value on top of the 100% we bring as a trio.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Well, let's get some more of your music, Andy, because that's what we're here for too. This is called The Scuffle.
Start to move, we're gonna scuffle. You rock straight ahead and then you shuffle until it feels just right. Ahead, behind, and in between. Now you're doing that scuffle thing. Now old Chuck Berry and Bonnie Raitt, they play it right but don't play it straight. They might take a turn, even jump the track, and then they head for home and bring it on back. They scuffle. They rock straight ahead and then they shuffle until it feels just right. Ahead, behind, and in between. Now we're all doing that scuffle thing.
man, I would listen to that for an hour. That's great. And the first thing that hit me, and I've heard this song before, but is that it's got that blend that Chuck Berry had way back, and you mentioned Chuck Berry.
Yep.
Had the straight guitar, ba 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 ba, and the drummer's doing a swing ride, boom, and you. I mean, everybody speaks that language if you're hip, and you guys that nailed it, man. That's so great.
Yeah. Well, I've loved that for many years.
Yeah.
When I got on the Little Feat bandwagon back in the 70s, I'm going, this is not everybody's doing this. And then as time went along, I recognized that there were things like NRBQ who did it a lot. Of course, Little Feat and John Hyatt,
Yep.
and Bonnie, did a thing called Love. Both Hyatt and Bonnie's version of that had that slinky, sloppy thing, and
and I know Jesse Winchester's into that, and a lot of artists. I think the Sub Dudes were part of that thing too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great stuff. Well, that goes back to the early parts of my groove experiences, and I'm just going to take this off of there because that doesn't mean anything. Well done, man. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. Party town. Great musicians. Line them up. Write a good song. Get a bunch of gals over.
That was Sam Broussard again, by the way, on electric guitar.
Smoking.
Yeah. And the piano player on that, he's with that group, the Herculeans that I mentioned with John Cowan and Andrea Zahn. And I started working with him, and I said, his name is Jody Nardone, and Jody does everything from stuff like that to he plays Rudy's Jazz Club. He does a Charlie Brown Christmas thing where he tours the country around Christmas time. And I went to him, I said, Jody, can you do Bill Payne?
That's what I was hearing, Billy Payne. Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I can do a pretty good Bill Payne. And he came in and did that. And I went, God,
he did it, nailed it.
He channeled it.
Yeah, the feats live, man.
Yeah.
The feats live. And Chris Daniels and we talked about that too, because Billy's on one of his songs
of course.
on his new record. Those all you guys. I mean, I love the way the music world is just overlapping highways, and you're going this way, we're going that way, and while we're overlapping, we're going, hey, let's do something cool.
Yeah, we find the things that we appreciate. You mentioned in that song, One Fine Day. I mean, you're a lover of beautiful music too, Jeff. I know that, having worked with you and heard you many times. So certainly a compliment for you to say what you said. But we meet up on several different planes, and that's for sure. I'm glad to be able to be here, talk about it.
Yeah, and I'm glad to have been part of your previous record.
Yeah.
And I'm really delighted that we're going to play that in a second, but remind me to play it because I want to do it before we leave. But I'm going to ask you one kind of final question. Do you find it hard to keep going sometimes? I mean, when you're sitting there and you want to crawl up in the fetal position and burn it all down, put it on Craigslist and blow town and go to some cave in Colorado and just live there like a hermit, what gets you through that?
Well, we got distracted when we first found out that we could make money, okay? And then it blew up into this thing where, this is going to be my living. And you reach a point where the competition is great, the trends change, the opportunities come and go, and so forth. And if you're lucky, you can hit the ground, put your feet up, and say, I got into this because I love music. And if you can get there, then whether you are earning and accomplishing things professionally that you want to, they're all kind of overridden by the fact that music is what moves us, and it's where our heart is.
Yeah. So you just keep going, punching through it. I had a doctor that told me when I broke my arm in 3 places, he said, just punch through it.
Yeah.
And the fun thing about that song, Hip Replacement, is that getting old ain't for wimps. And, we're getting older. You got to kind of just keep going no matter what. But you and I both suffer from torn rotator cuffs.
Yep.
And it's been a challenge for me for the last 9 months. And sometimes it hurts a lot.
Yeah.
But you just got to grin and put on a good show, right?
Yep. If we can do it, then we do it. And we find ways to punch through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Wait a second. I think there's a song there, Jeff.
Oh, you get on it, and then I'll.
Okay, all right.
My friend Pete Salas says I don't have new ideas. I just fix other people's ideas.
Right. Well, this is recorded now, so you got to get at least 50% of this.
Oh, there we go. Okay, well, we'll share. Okay,
that money that's entering the thing again.
Yeah, it's a dirty thing.
Yeah.
This is a song that I recognize because I played guitar on it.
Oh, you did a great job too, Jeff.
This is called "Untangle the Line." it's great to hear that again.
Yes, you did a great job.
Well, thanks. You know, I can tell right now that it's my Stratocaster, but I had a 53 Fender Deluxe, the old tweed ones, and that old original. It was in completely mint shape and original from every part of the 12-inch Jensen in it. And honestly, that, man.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You asked me before the song, how do you keep focused on the music? How do you not get dragged down by it? And the lyrics in that song actually help with that also. It's just we get so caught up in it, and it looks so big and difficult to deal with that sometimes you just got to take the time, untangle the line, and the answers will be there.
Yeah, just breathe and see what happens is what I think of.
Thank you for your contribution to that. It really
yeah.
makes the song great.
Well, it's good. And, you know, we've had some fun times together. We will continue to. I mean, we have, you know, we're brothers in arms in many ways. And so I wish you well with your career. And people can go to andypeake.com, Peake.
Yeah, correct.
And we will have a dashingly handsome picture of you on the podcast channel so folks can check it out. Nashville, Tennessee, songwriter, producer, engineer, and impresario.
Thank you. And we are all on all the streaming services for both of those albums.
Yes, as your daughter taught us, we need to get out there.
Exactly, yeah.
My daughter said to me, Dad, don't bother with TikTok and Instagram. You know, all your old people are on Facebook. Yeah. So thanks, honey. I really appreciate it. Well, here we have a special way of going out, and all you got to do is say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Hey, baby.
Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this show. We invite you to check out all the other episodes and share this channel with all of your friends. Until next time, peace.